In this video, I wanted to share some of my favorite builders. You guys have seen some of my stuff on this channel. And so I wanted to just share some of the ones that I've looked up to, some builds that I've seen on YouTube, some replica builds that are just top notch and excellent looking quality. And I wanted to share some of those. So let's dive in. All right, so the first one here is, I literally just searched for board track racer replica on YouTube, and this was one of the ones that came up. It's a 1912 Indian board track racer replica reveal by Samster Motorized Bicycles, or Motorized Bikes, and wanted to choose this because obviously some of you guys know I have a incredible affection for Indian. I have some family history tied in with Raymond Seymour, who raced for Indian in the board track era days, one of the few survivors of the sport. And so, yeah, so I'm more partial to the Indians myself. But yeah, let's take a look at this build.
Hello, everybody. My name is Sam, aka Samster. And as you can see, the Indian board track racer replica, circa 1912-ish, is just about complete.
All right, so let's stop here. And I can see here that he has a leaf front end, which is pretty cool. It's actually hard to replicate. There's not like an off-the-shelf version like the front springers or the Monarch style. So I can already tell he's put some work into a springer or like a leaf spring front end. Looks like he has a GX200 or a Predator 212 engine with a dress-up kit on here. As you can see, it's mounted vertically like I have on the Excelsior that you might have seen. And then of course he's got some custom exhaust. He's got a what looks like a centrifugal clutch for sure, but then it looks like there's a reduction gear drive on the bottom bracket leading back to the rear wheel, so that's pretty cool. He's got some brick tires. I think those are, what are they, Schwalbe or Fat Franks. But yeah, super cool, rounded Indian gas tank. And he's got a hairpin seat. Yeah, overall drop bars, so some period correct stuff on there. Looks pretty cool. I'm a big fan.
I'm still waiting on the back-ordered rims to arrive. They're going to be Worksman rims with a front drum brake, and they're going to be a matching set. So there's not going to be, one black, one silver.
Yeah, and so it looks like he's going to be using Worksman wheels, which I use for some of the builds. Just a super heavy-duty bicycle wheel, industrial strength, 11 gauge or 12 gauge spokes typically, and just way more stout than your typical 14 gauge bicycle wheel that you'll see on some or on most cruisers. But yeah, overall, definitely a cool looking build. So here's another one. If you've been on YouTube, you've probably seen some of this guy. Really awesome builds. This is Edg Classics, or Steve Garcia. I believe he's out of Texas, and we've chatted some on social media, but just a super down-to-earth guy. Wanted to help people. If you look at some of his videos on here, it really tells you how he made some of the parts. But this Harley that he has here, we're gonna watch a little bit of the video and show a little bit about this build, but definitely a really cool setup. So let's take a look. Filling up the gas tank. Some vintage Harley lettering. All right, so if you look here, you can tell, I think this is a GC190. I think he's told me before that has a dress-up kit as well. Let's see if we can go back to seeing that engine up close here. All right. Yeah, some really cool stuff here. Oh, I just missed it. Let me go back here. All right, so right here we have the original engine here. We have a dress-up kit with some cool fins that looks like he cut out. And then he's got a front mount. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember this correctly, this is actually a Harken frame that he actually cut the 2-stroke mount off of and mounted the 4-stroke. and then of course gave it a dress-up kit. He's got a velocity stack. This is like a faux Magneto, and it's just got a kind of patina to make it look old and weathered. But overall, a super cool build and super cool guy if you want to go check out his channel. And last but not least, this is actually one of my favorite vintage motorcycle builds that I found on YouTube. And it's one of my favorites because I actually owned this bike for a very short amount of time. This is from Vexco, and it's a 1909 tribute, kind of a tribute to a 1909 Pope. And so let's take a look at this. This actually got almost 1.3 million views. So this is a pretty popular video that you've probably seen floating around. And so let's take a look at this, and I'll unpack some of the details about this bike because I ended up buying this bike from him and kept it for a very short amount of time before another customer bought it off of me, who was in a tight time crunch to get a build. And so I ended up selling it to him down in Miami. So this was the Miami Rat Rod bike, if you guys have seen that on my channel already. So let's go straight to the ride. Actually taking a look at this here. Okay, so let me pause this. Let me go over here. So this is a torpedo style tank. This is actually a Worksman 2600 frame, and what he did was he cut it out of the drop loop and then stretched it. I think it was like 4 or 5 inches probably. And so the rear triangle is the same. He's got like the dislocated seat that's far back, so you have a lot of space to lay down. I think he took, it was like an oxygen tank or a tube, and then he welded some ends onto the end. And then Worksman front wheel. He's got his own custom fork that he made, front drum. He's got it's actually I think it's a Shimano rear hub that he was able to mount a sprocket to the left side, but it's also a drum brake as well. And these are stationary pedals, but this is actually a Predator 346 cc 4-stroke engine that was just a beast torque monster. He's got a torque converter on it. I think is a Comet TAV. And yeah, this thing was just a ripper. I mean, it was fast, it was super lightweight, and just had tons and tons of power. So it was definitely a cool build to own myself. But let's take a look at him riding it now. Got to put the earplugs in. Yep, it was a super loud bike. Straight pipe, no muffler. Pull start. Patina on there was so believable. I mean, used iron oxide paint, wiped it down with used diesel oil. Definitely some cool aspects to making this patina completely believable. So let's take a look at the actual ride here. Kind of see the mechanics behind it here. So that's the torque converter. So it's CVT. So as soon as the RPMs get up on this, then it activates the rear, and then he has a drive reduction system here that goes back to the rear wheel. But overall, super cool, super sturdy, and super believable patina build. So one of my favorites.